To mark Gypsy Roma Traveller History Month, I'm joined by Twinnie, who talks about her new album and breaking the stigma between suicide and mental health. So Twinnie, welcome to HOPECAST.
Thank you for having me.
So talk to me about Dying Inside. What was the reason why you wrote this song and you wanted to talk about this in your latest single?
So Dying Inside was written on the 23rd of December 2020, and I remember just feeling very overwhelmed with, the year. I'd had a horrendous year. I mean, everybody was going through it, but I think particularly for artists and creatives, it really hit hard because, we rely on a lot of people together in one room.
Absolutely, we do.
to kind of do what we do, and that was kind of stripped away. And once you take the live aspect away from an artist, it's like, then how do you promote an album, your debut album that you just dropped? And there was so many people I saw across the board struggling, and it was kind of, like how Christmas is a time where you kind of reassess your life. And I just realised I'd been putting on this show for quite a long time, and I think I'm so used to doing it because that's just my default, and I use humour as a kind of like, I'm okay, or I'll make a joke out of something. And it was really just masking. And then on social media, all we do is mask our real life.
Absolutely. And that's where Dying Inside, because when you see the video, it's brilliant. And it's normalising therapy in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to one of your really close friends, plays the therapist, and it's breaking that stigma away for actually asking for help and having counselling and that support. And you put a brave face on, and that's not right at times when you're consistently doing that.
Yeah. You're
hiding away from what's really going on inside.
Well, I feel like, when you say, hi, are you okay? It's part of a greeting. So people don't have the time. We live in such a fast-paced world where, yourself, you don't really have time to process what you're going through because it's just boom, 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 boom. And especially being an artist, I've found coming out of the pandemic, it's really hard to kind of get back to where we were because I don't want that type of life. I want more work-life balance because it's all consuming. And it was just, Dying Inside was, firstly, I didn't want to put out the song, and my lovely A&R, Sarah Kanabi, I really trust her judgment. She was like, I really feel like you need to put this song out because it's really raw, it's truthful, and I think a lot of people are going to relate to it. And I don't generally put out ballads because I like everybody to be upbeat and have a good time, and I think that songs are my therapy. So when I feel like shit, that's what I do, and I don't want to depress anyone, so I tend not to really write ballads if you listen to my music. And she was like, no, I really want you to put this song out. So I took a leap of faith, and I'm really pleased I did because I've had, out of all the songs on the EP, that's had kind of the most reaction. And the EP drops in June. It's called Welcome to the Club, and it takes you through this story of like, One Heart is like the breakup song, and that in the videos there's a film to go along with the EP. And the reason for that is because I wanted to kind of showcase, the music in a different way visually. And I wanted it to all tie in. And
that's what music videos do in a way, and we forget about that, but it tells a story. And it's because we listen to music on the radio on Spotify, and actually when you hear the music video, actually there's a completely different connotation what the song is actually about.
Yeah, and the power of like TV is so, is so powerful for people because they have, if they see somebody crying or whatever in a music video, they have empathy or they have an emotional attachment. So with this short film, I roped in some of my mates who I've, worked with before as an actress, and I really wanted to take away the stigma of mental health. So One Heart is the breakup song, and then that gets me into therapy, and every time I go see this therapist, we talk about a different issue, and then it highlights, and then
tells the story all the way through.
It leads into the music video, so I, there's like acting bits in between, and it tells the full story. And the way the songs have been released at the minute is not in order, so when people see the film, they'll see a journey from heartbreak right through to like a, coming of age story of like getting back to yourself and self-love and kind of realizing that we're all flawed, you know, we're all human, and we've all got things going on underneath the surface that we don't really talk about. And I really felt like it was important, especially with Dying Inside, to kind of highlight how easy it is to put on a show. So with the visual, you know, in front of all my friends, the red dress is like, hey, I'm fine, but then I wear a different black dress, and it's like sometimes you can be in a room full of people and still feel incredibly alone and not know how to
reach out for support.
Yeah, or articulate those feelings because sometimes you don't understand them yourself. So,
and you also run I Know a Woman Collective. Tell me a bit more about that.
So I founded I Know a Woman in the pandemic because I was seeing, like I said, a lot of artists, creatives struggle. Also, there's a big conversation about female representation, you know, females in music, women in music being represented better. So I really wanted to highlight women in this collective, but have men be a part of it. So it's kind of like a home for all music makers. And it was kind of born from, I go back and forth to Nashville a lot, and I just saw like there was so much love and community there. I wanted that in the UK. And for all these artists, because I know what it's like to be a female solo artist, it can be very lonely. And I thought it'd be great to like get artists, songwriters, producers together, create. But our primary mission was to standardize therapy within the music industry. So, you know, artists that have got labels and publishing deals, that should just be standard. They should, if they're contracted, they should have a place, an outlet where they can go, because the pressures on, you know, artists these days, when I started this job, it's because I loved music. I never thought that I would be a content creator every single day and having anxiety about posting on TikTok 7 times a day.
And it's that pressure as well. It's like the need to post, and even if you're on a day off, you feel like, oh, I have to share my day, otherwise. And people want to know what I'm doing, what I'm up to. It's you're putting that subconscious pressure on yourself constantly.
Yeah, and there's no mystery anymore. I feel like, you know, at some point we are going to go back to kind of like not showing our lives, what we've had for breakfast, dinner. But yeah, you are right. There's that pressure to deal with, which can also obviously lead to anxiety. And then if you're not getting the numbers, depression, you know, people think they're not good enough, questioning their self-worth, and it's all mixed in with what the numbers and statistics and algorithms are saying, and it's not really based on the songs or the talent, if you see what I mean. So that in recent years has been really difficult, I think, for creatives to deal with.
Even your song title, Dying Inside, it's that slow burner, isn't it? That front, I'm fine, I'm doing okay, but actually on the inside, it's bubbling up, it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah. So I think from then I was aware of mental health. I think in recent years it's really people like, you know, the Gypsy King, who's part of the travelling community, and being, you know, a traveller, I feel like he did wonders for our community in general, like having, you know, a really strong, I mean, he's the king, you know, the undisputed king, and he's like this giant, and he's talking about like he struggled. So to me, I'm like, if he's struggling, doesn't matter how famous, how rich, or like, you know, yeah.
Suicide and mental health has no boundaries.
No.
It can affect anyone in society, any culture, any, you know, wealth. It affects anyone, especially you come from the traveller community. Mental health and suicide is such a stigma. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think a lot of just like my dad's generation, I think the UK in general are very much stiff upper lip, carry on. In America, I don't find it to be the case. Everyone's got like, it's almost cool to have a therapist.
They get it in every day, don't they?
Pretty much. And I'm like all for that, because I think even if it's just an hour for yourself to talk about like what you're going through. My grandma always used to say, a problem shared is a problem halved, and it just, you have to get it out. Even crying, like, you know, it releases chemicals that make you feel better afterwards, you know, and you're talking about trauma in your body. It will find a way. There's a brilliant book, actually, I don't know whether you've read it, and it's called Louise Hay, and it's How to Heal Your Own Life, and it talks about
Louise Hay is amazing.
Yeah, how like every disease is caused by a negative emotion, and I fully believe that. I feel like, you know, and then you go into like genetic trauma that is passed down. There's so much that we don't know, and the brain is so powerful. And I think, like, you know, regarding stigma in the traveling community, it's bringing awareness to it, because I think when something is not talked about, nobody wants to be the first person to go, hey, I'm struggling, I've got a problem, in case somebody shuts them down. And like, it's hard to be vulnerable, you know. It's hard to be like tell the truth about stuff. But I think Tyson did a wonderful job of kind of like really breaking down the stereotype of gypsies, and also just like what he did for mental health in general.
Absolutely.
You know.
What would you say to someone in the travelling community and they're maybe having thoughts of suicide, they're struggling with anxiety, depression, any mental health issue, and they're struggling to reach out? What would you say to them?
I would just say reach out to somebody that you trust, and if you don't have that, then there are plenty of helplines that can offer that support. And I would just say that you're not alone in your feelings. There's loads of people that feel exactly the same. You're not weird, you know, and you are loved, and you matter, and you're needed.
Thank you so much again to Twinnie for taking the time out to talk to me about her new album and sharing her thoughts on suicide and mental health. If you've been affected by what we talked about today, please contact HOPELINEUK.